Hello, and welcome to today's Solutions Lab episode, Maximizing Cisco Profitability with D&H. We're absolutely thrilled to have you with us today, and I have with me Jay Dixit. He's a vendor business manager with D&H, covering several product lines, including Cisco. Hey, Jay, good to see you.
Hey Aaron, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I am your host, Aaron Shelton. I'm Cisco SE manager on the US side of our business. And we're going to talk about some great stuff for you today and definitely helping you maximize the dollar value you get out of transacting Cisco. So there's a lot that you can do to make some extra, a little bit of extra profitability and stuff like that for your business. And we'll have a Q&A session at the end too. So I definitely encourage you to fill out some questions as they come up as we go through the presentation here. But Jay, let's kick this thing off. To start off here, Cisco has several partner levels. Tell us about those.
Yeah, sure. It for some of you on here, it might be basic information, but it makes sense to kind of start from the for some of you on here, it might be basic information, but it makes sense to kind of start from the ground up. So, when it comes to Cisco and their partnership levels, realistically, their partnership level starts at registered, but as you can see on the pyramid, the bottom level is unregistered D&H accounts. So these are accounts that D&H accounts or D&H resellers that have a relationship with D&H Canada, but don't have a Cisco partnership. Um, what that means is you're able to transact on the Cisco small business line of products, which are, you're similar to the previous line known as Linksys category of products. Currently, its majority of it is switching and some wireless stuff sprinkled in, but majority of the core Cisco catalog remains unavailable to the unregistered partner level. With that, realistically, the Cisco partner journey starts by being a registered partner. Now, a registered partner, there are no costs for being registered. You just sign up for a partnership, and as long as you keep renewing that partnership once a year, you can continue to offer Cisco in your product portfolio. Um, Beyond that, you also have the ability to leverage a few things around, or I should say, a few rebates. One of them being Fast Track, which is, we'll talk about that in a moment here. Beyond that, you also have the ability to create something called a quick quote with Cisco and ask for incremental discounts. Now, keep in mind, at the registered level, there is no deal protection. So if you have a net new opportunity that you wanted to secure and make sure no one else can bid on it, not necessarily available at that level. That starts at the next level, which is the Cisco Select partnership. At this level, you actually have the ability to get something called an OIP discount, which we'll touch on in a little bit as well. And then beyond that, it also opens up ability for you to tap into NFR discounts. NFR discounts are also known as not for resale. As the name suggests, it's strictly discounts for items that are being purchased for either internal business use or for a lab that you want to create for some demos, things like that. And actually, the discounts are very generous, somewhere around the 80% off of list price mark. So definitely a beneficial um, incentive to have. Now, there is a limit on how much NFR you can purchase in a year. So um, the limit's about 100K a year in list price. Keep in mind, these are for internal business use. So it would take quite a bit to create a lab that consumes 100K in one shot, but there is a limit on that. Beyond that, if you wanted to stretch that limit out and take more advantage of more incentives, you could take the partnership up to the premier level. Now, a premier level partnership ensures that partners are specialized in specific areas. These areas are wide ranging from security to collaboration to data center. And it allows you to showcase your talent base. So you'll be required to have a sales engineer that has CCNA, a field engineer perhaps that has CCNA. So you will have to build a solid technical bench, but it also allows you to take advantage of some specialized discounts that others wouldn't have access to. And these discounts would actually get combined with the deal protection discount, which I talked about not that long ago. And then,
And
of
that's
course,
actually,
at the top, yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, and that's actually one of them where if they specialize in a specific architecture, like say security is your main business, you can do the advanced certifications there, and that actually gives you some extra discounting on that product specifically, can't it?
100%. And I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense, right? If you're trying to build a practice around something, and if you're going to bring on a technical bench that can support the customers, Cisco has all the reason to support you and make that particular aspect of your practice profitable. So definitely, they layer on additional discounts for those categories and make your deals that much more margin rich. Um, and then, of course, at the top tier, you have gold partners. Now, gold partners, some of them have direct partnership with Cisco, so they can buy directly from Cisco, but then that comes with its own set of operational things that you might have to deal with versus when you are at Premier or below levels, you have distribution partners such as D&H supporting you in your entire journey. So I wanted to kind of actually outline how this breaks out, and you'll notice for Premier Select and Registered, there's a little band that says distribution supported. So these are the tiers where D&H is incentivized to support you in growing your Cisco practice. We will work with you to take your partnership level from registered to select to premier, depending on your appetite to go how high you want to go. And we will also have incentives to support your marketing efforts or additional activities to help you grow that business. So at D&H, especially in Canada, we have that support wrapped under a program called PRO program. It stands for Partner Resource Opportunity. If you have any questions, I'm not going to go into details in that, but if you have any questions or if you want to learn a little bit more, I'll share contacts that you can engage to get enrolled in the program, which will enable you to get additional support. So you don't have to just buy items from us. We can actually help you sell those items with your end user and help you create a practice around it. So, but that's kind of the overview of the partnership level. Ideally, you want to be at least at Select certified. If you want to take it to Premier, obviously there's more margin to be had there. So yeah, it's really important to be cognizant of that partner journey. So I touched on a couple of things while I was talking about the partner journey, and I wanted to kind of elaborate on how they play out in your pricing and how they play out in your margin. So I'll quickly move on to the next slide here. So I'm going to start with very basic information here. For Cisco, everything is based on list price or MSRP. Cisco puts out this list of SKUs and provides or announces list prices for each SKU. And then you and I get our pricing in the form of discount off of list. To elaborate this topic a bit, what I've done is I've created this little table with some sample data. It's really not, it might not reflect the current margin or current rebate structure, but it will help you understand how it plays out. So list price for this particular access point, for example, is $21.21.22. I like that number. $2,121.22. Wow. Now
Mouthful.
you get, yeah, it is, right? So for standard discount, which is any day price, we'll round down to 40% off. It's somewhere between 40 and 42 once you factor in the D&H or distribution margin, but we'll round down to 40% off. So that's 40% off is about $848 off, which would make your standard price $1,272.73. Great. Now, Cisco does this thing called fast track rebates. They happen every quarter. At the beginning of the quarter, Cisco puts out this long list of SKUs that they want to focus on, and they provide additional discounts. So in this example, I just threw in 14%. Let's say for this quarter, this particular SKU has a 14% fast track discount. That 14% actually layers on top of the 40% that I mentioned earlier. So that $296 get layered on top of the 848 that you're already getting as a discount, making your discounted price 975.76. Once again, these are I've kind of rounded to the nearest whole numbers to give you an example. There might be a few fluctuations based on distribution margin, but for elaborative purposes, this kind of gets the trick done. Now, the nice part about this is since they're established by Cisco on a quarterly basis, as long as you're a registered partner or above, you qualify for it, and your price is reflected on D&H's website automatically. You don't have to engage anyone. You simply go to dnh.ca, look up the SKU, add it to your cart, and that discount is already factored into that price. So this is kind of a nice way of you to get fast deals out of the door without having to go back and forth on pricing. All your customer needs is one access point. Well, here's your price at $975.76 plus whatever your margin, and that's your cost. You don't have to really worry about engaging someone at Cisco account manager level or distribution level to get your quote on that. So I encourage you to check out, if you haven't had a chance, check out dnh.ca. It has our fast track prices already loaded. These rebates are called out and they're ready to go. Now I wanted to kind of take this a step further. Let's say you have a sizable opportunity. You have multiple items or multiple quantities of this SKU that you want to buy. So for this access point, let's say you have a deal that's 50 access points and you want to make sure that you get the best possible price and no one else can get that price. Well, that's doable as long as you're at the right level. So we mentioned earlier, if you are Select Certified Partner or higher, you qualify for deal protection or OIP. And I want to talk about that in a little bit more detail here. So OIP stands for Opportunity Incentive Program. This is a program that's designed to help you nurture net new opportunities, to help you grow your Cisco practice with a specific end user or specific opportunity on hand. So before you kind of start quoting out, I would even recommend before you start creating the bill of materials, you should actually create a deal in the Cisco portal, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But what that allows you to do is actually capture and get OIP on a specific deal. Now let's see the actual impact of OIP, how it all plays out. So let's go back to the previous example. You have the list price of $21.21.22. And with fast track discount, as we established, your cost is $975.76. Now the thing is, anyone and everyone that goes to dnh.ca will have access to those discounts. So there's no competitive edge. Well, if you register the deal, DNA or Cisco will layer on additional 8%, up to 8% of discounts on top of your price. So these are, once again, discounts off of list price. So basically, if you multiply the $2,100 list price by 8%, that's the additional discounts that you're going to get. What that means is now the access point goes from $975 per unit to $806. This is a nice little cushion that you can build between you and the next closest competitor. Let's say you're competing against company XYZ for the same opportunity. The closest company XYZ will be able to come without OIP is 975. Now, you can either be a generous person and say, I'm going to pass that along to my customer to get, uh, you know, give them the best price, or you can say, I'm going to retain that 8% as my margin, or you could do what I would recommend doing, which is meet somewhere in the middle. Keep, I would say, half of that as your margin, enrich your margin on the front end side, and pass along half of that to your customer, which still gives you some cushion to be able to actually uh, to be able to actually get a deal advantage. With that being said, I'm keeping an eye on Q&A here. So one question that really stands out here is, are there any minimum thresholds? And it's a great question. Yes, there is a minimum dollar requirement. It's $10,000 list price. Now it's list price, so keep that in mind. When you're looking at $10,000 list price, that's 5 of these access points, or 4 and change, if you will. But yeah, it's 2121 is the list price. So multiply that by 5. That's well over 10,000, and that qualifies you for OIP. The other thing I'd recommend doing is always look 6 months ahead. So when you do an OIP, the discount is good for 6 months. The deal protection is good for 6 months. You're talking to a customer, let's say, and you come across the fact that they're buying access points now, but in 6 months they expect to be able to purchase some switches. Get the deal registration now for the switches as well, because you will be able to lock that deal protection for that 6 months duration. So when the customer is ready to have your switching conversation, you will still have the deal advantage, and no one else can quote against you. The other nice part is these deals can be extended. So let's say you're talking to them, you're month 5.5, and you need a bit more time to close the deal. Not a problem. You can actually go into CCW, which is the tool I'll demo later, and actually ask for that deal to be extended. So as long as you have a valid OIP, you can't be outbid, which is kind of the nice part about it. And as I said, you don't have to be the nice guy. Don't give away all of your OIP discount. Keep some of it for yourself, and then pass along the remaining discounts. Another thing that I really like to use is Cisco Refresh. Cisco Refresh depends on how you pronounce it, but it's basically a nice way of saying Cisco Refurb products. Now these, I actually used an example, screen captured it, so you can kind of visualize the impact of it. So it's the same router. One has your cost of $1240, which is non-refurb, and then the Cisco refurb part has a cost of $745. That's an impressive amount of delta. Now it's important to understand refurb comes with the same warranty as a non-refurb item, so there's no discount. There's no difference there. You can even get SmartNet on it, just like a non-refurb item. You have the ability to add 1, 3, 5 years of extended coverage if you wanted, and with SmartNet, you have options that you can actually get replacements shipped out within 4 hours of failure. You have 24-hour support depending on the level of support you pick. To add on top of that, it actually qualifies for deal pricing. So you could actually still get that $745 even discounted further if you wanted to. And best part, it's refurb, so it ships directly from Cisco, and there isn't a long wait time. So in today's day and age where everything seems to be 6 months out for supply constraints, refurb is generally available to ship out within 3 to 7 days, as long as they have it in the barn. So to give you an example, I have a deal that I'm working on currently where we actually have non-refurb switches that are going to take 150 some days, and the refurb alternative is available to ship in 3 days. Same warranty, They can get the SmartNet on it. They can get the same support on it, and they can have it in their warehouse or in their hands within a week or so. Why wouldn't I do that? So I highly recommend checking out the refurb alternative. It is important to understand that Cisco Refresh is uh, availability is quite volatile. So it's first come, first serve. If it's available and you want it, let's say there's one unit available in the channel and you want that one unit, place the order today. There's no way to unfortunately secure that stock. I have had a situation where I had a customer that wanted 10 switches. They were in refurb. They wanted to take a little bit of time to discuss internally. They came back within 3 hours and the switches were gone. So that is the unfortunate part there. But if you know you want the product and it's available in refurb, grab it. Now, quick way to tell if something is refurb or not, it's easy. It's -RF in the end. If you see a -RF, that's a refurb SKU. Everything else remains the same. And I will fill you in on a little bit of a secret that someone at Cisco told me. The refurb stock, a decent size of it, is part of stock rotation. So distributors buy this stock, this inventory. Sometimes they sit on it for 6 months to a year, and then we get a stock rotation allowance where we get to ship the unsold stock back to Cisco. That stock actually goes back into their refurb pile. So they actually open up the device, test it, flash the latest firmware on it. A decent mix of that stock is brand new, untouched. So you might be getting a brand new switch with the latest firmware. Just the only difference is it has a -RF in the end. Kind of want to understand if anyone here in our mix has had a chance to position refurb parts. Actually, there's a poll that should show up on your screen. Kind of curious if you can think of any opportunities where such an alternative would have been beneficial. So I would love to get your thoughts on it. Let me know.
And I think this is one of them that a
Um,
lot of people don't
yeah,
know about. It's refresh is sort of hidden there, but it's a great opportunity, as you said, to get the stock faster if they have it. The discounting is amazing, and if you stack it with a deal as well, there's nobody that's going to touch your price. You've got the 8% on
correct.
OIP plus the refresh price, and it's unbeatable. So
And
that's a really good
for
opportunity for partners.
Yeah, and for things like what we would consider accessories, which is like the SFP modules or SFP plus modules, it either works or it doesn't. There's no real difference in buying non-refurb versus refurb. So if you have a deal where you're trying to position, let's say, 30 SFPs and you want to get a decent price break, throw in the refurb stock in it and let it roll. So kind of curious here. Just gonna see in our audience poll. So 33% have had an opportunity to push refresh. Now I'm actually curious, how many of you will, hopefully after today's session, will look at your opportunities with the lens of, well, maybe there's a refurb opportunity here. So hopefully you can plug it in once or twice in the near future here. So going back to the slide, just want to leave at just the bare delta of standard pricing, right? 1240 versus 745. That's a huge price difference. And once again, this is not loaded with any deals. You can actually double up on that and get additional discounts. As Aaron said, make the most of that dollar. So I've talked about the Cisco partner portal, and I've talked about doing deal registrations and all of that. And I'll do a demo on how to do a deal registration in a minute. I have a pre-recorded video that I'll play, but wanted to give you a quick overview of what you will see when you actually log into CCW. So 3 areas that I want to call out. Up top is navigation. For you, it should be catalog, estimates, and then last one will be deals and quotes, which is what you're going to do an overview on. There's also a section that's a SKU search where you can type in any SKU, and what it'll do is you can actually just type in 3 characters or more of any SKU, and it'll give you any item that has that in the description or part number. So that way, if you're not sure, let's say someone comes to you and goes, "Well, I'm looking for MR46 access points," and you're not sure what the MR46 access point SKU is, you can just type in MR46 and hit enter, and it'll give you all the parts that have that part number in it or in the description. And then last piece is custom dashboard. As you start using CCW, hopefully you start using it more after today's session. Um, this is a customizable dashboard that you can actually populate with information that's relevant to you and your business. So for me, it was important for me to know what's going on with the latest 5 deals. I wanted to see what were the 5 most recent estimates shared with me, so on and so forth. You can customize it how you see fit, but it's a quick way for you to glance at your Cisco business without having to uh, do a deep dive. So someone just asked, how would I know if Cisco has refurb in stock? That's a great question, and I'll touch on that in the demo video that I'm about to play. Um, uh, don't worry, I won't dangle a fact and then not fill you in on how to find out. So my goal is to get you as much information as possible. But yeah, that's basically the overview of the first page that you'll encounter in CCW. With that, I'm just going to play this pre-recorded video. I did pre-record it and I blurred out a few sections that are not really visible to you as a partner. So keep in mind, my view is slightly different than partner view because as a distributor, I have access to a slightly different line levels, and I've blurred out those lines. So if you see any spots in the video that are not visible,
Now let's
that's
take
because
a
when you try to do a
quick
deal
look
reg, you won't
at
see those areas.
deals and quotes. So when we hover
So
over
with
it, it
that,
has 2 options: create deal or create quote. You might ask, what's the difference? Well, I'll explain. So the purpose of creating a quote is to create a automatically approved deal which will get approved at the current distribution price / promotion. So, for example, we talked earlier, there are some fast tracks going on the access point we were discussing. I could create a quote and save it. When I save it that way, what it will do is it'll lock in that price for 30 days. As we discussed earlier, Cisco's quarter ends at the end of July. Now, let's say I'm working with a customer and I give them a quote today. It's highly unlikely that they're going to turn around and give me a PO before the end of the month. So by creating a quote, I'm buying myself extra couple of weeks at the current price. What that does for me is now my deal is net price protected. Even if Cisco discontinues the promotion or if Cisco bumps the price up, I will be able to transact this deal at the current distribution price for 30 days from when I create the quote, and it gets auto approved. I'm not going to do a demo on the quote piece. I'm going to do a demo on the deal piece. Deal is what you want to truly take advantage of. Create Deal is available to select certified partners and above, and it allows you to get deal protection for net new opportunities through OIP. So let's create a deal here. So when you click on Create Deal, this is the first page that you will be brought to. On this page, all mandatory fields are marked with a little red star. So we're going to start with giving the deal a name. Generally speaking, I like to have a standardized nomenclature for all deals. What I like to do is I like to have the name of the end user, the technology of the deal, and any other information that I feel is relevant for me to identify the deal at a quick glance. So here, for this particular purpose, we're going to pretend that we are selling something to Hilton Hotels. So deal name, Hilton Hotel. We might even put the location of the hotel, and then we're going to use wireless access points. Now, in most cases, the next field will be auto-filled for you. If you do not have an auto-filled name, feel free to use Fennel as the contact. So if for some reason you don't have something identified there, you could just type in FKACHARI@cisco.com and it will tie you to Fennel and his team. Now next is filling out the information on the end user. So we're going to do Hilton Canada. I'm just going to pick the first one. Now if for some reason as you're typing the name in predictive text doesn't come up with the option you want, the address you want, you can click search or add new address. But in this case, I'm going to pretend like this first contact is what we want to go with. And as soon as you do that, it will automatically assign it to the appropriate Cisco account management team. And you can actually click the view members link there and it'll tell you who all is part of that team. These are the account managers that are responsible for maintaining Cisco's relationship with Hilton Canada, and they will be the people that you need to talk to get deals approved, additional discounts loaded, so on and so forth. Another critical piece that you have to provide is end customer contact, and be cognizant of the fact that Cisco might contact this person to verify that you indeed are working on a net new opportunity. So we're just gonna, type something here, John Doe, title buyer. I'll give them a name or phone number, user at Hilton.com. Why not? And then the address, website address or web address is Hilton.com. And then we create that contact. And once everything is filled out, you're going to be able to create the deal. Now, once you do that, it's going to bring you to this page, which allows you to pick the list price, which by default you should only have access to one list price, which is the Canadian list price. And then we pick out the intended use. So are you selling it directly to Hilton? Are you selling it for service provision? Internal and lab is really for NFR deals, which we touched on earlier today. And then managed services is where you're going to be managing this infrastructure on behalf of Hilton. Let's just pretend that this is just for resale. Estimated close date is what you're gonna, when you think you're gonna get the PO. Really, this is your best guess. I'm just gonna pretend it's the 31st of July is when I'm gonna get it. Now there's a toggle below. It says I have a bill of materials. You can, by default, it's gonna be toggled on. You can toggle it off if you do not know the bill of materials and fill out all the information manually. Now, one thing to keep in mind, for you to qualify for deal registration or OIP, there's a minimum deal size of $10K, so $10,000 or higher. I'm gonna pretend like it's a $100,000 deal. Doesn't hurt. And then if there's any services to be sold on it, you can put that in there. Here, you can do expected technology group. So this is basically, if I don't know what I want to sell them, I can actually just go in and pick the overarching technology that I know I'm going to be selling them. For example, here I know I want to sell them wireless, or I want to sell them Meraki, or I want to sell them routing, switching, or any of the multiple security categories. This is just for situations where you don't know the bill of materials. You don't need to fill all this out if you know the bill of materials. What this will do is it will allow you to at least secure the deal while you're working on the bill of materials, so no one else can go in and register the deal before you do. Anyway, we're going to toggle this option back on and just click proceed to items. Now, before you can add more items to it, it's going to say buy method. Now, since I'm associated with D&H, the only option I see is D&H Canada, but you as a reseller should have access to all the disties in the marketplace. Now, you and I both know your best option is D&H Canada. In any case, we're going to pick D&H Canada for this instance and click save and continue. Now, I do want to point out, it's not a mandatory field yet, but this saves us some time in the next step. Save and continue, and start putting in part numbers that I know I want. So here we're going to say I want to buy 100 of these access points and add them. And there you have it. There's the item. The other, let's say, we'll also put in another piece here. I want to demo something. Now add that. Now, earlier, as I said, we picked the buy method. Now you could just do a toggle on line by line basis. So you could pick and choose which lines go to which disty, or you can just say all of these items, I want that to go to D&H or whomever. In any case, I'm gonna remove this line item, and we're going to save and continue. Next page really doesn't mean much. It's just factoring in the current deals and promotions. As we know earlier, there is a fast track promo going on right now, so that's all factored into it. Now, I want to apply incentives to this. So what I can do is, once I get to this page, is this a partner generated opportunity? Yeah, it's something that you're working on. It's net new. No one else has brought it up to you. So you put that on, and it will add hunting or OIP on top of whatever else is going on. And then apply incentives. And what that does is it brings up that discount. As you can see, there's an 8% discount uplift. Now that 8% is guaranteed to you. No one else is going to have access to that. And we go to justification questions. The justification questions is just a quick description of why you're selling something, what are you trying to solve as a problem, and so on and so forth. So Hilton needs to renew their wireless deployment, recommending Wi-Fi 6 solution. Write down whatever you want. It's a maximum of 1,000 characters that you can type in there. The other piece that you are going to do is type in the names of the cities where you're going to be doing this deployment. So Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, I don't know. You can type in whatever cities that are going to be part of this deployment. What this allows you to do is, once again, lock in your deal protection for those locations, so no one else can go in and get a deal reg while you have OIP or deal protection. Before I move any further, I also want to point out up top, assign smart account. It's usually a good idea to assign a smart account for most Cisco items. Smart accounts are a way for Cisco to deliver virtual licenses, and this allows you to tie it to a specific end user. You just type in Hilton, and it'll tell you these are all the active smart accounts that are available to you. And these are based on domains. So if for some reason you don't see the domain you want, you can, of course, just create a new account for your customer. You're going to put in the email address of the person that's going to be managing this, and then you can submit the account request. And now this is all tied to a smart account. Now we're going to proceed to review. And once you're ready, you're going to submit this deal for approval. I'm not going to do that in this step, but once you submit it, it's going to go through the approval process. And once it's approved, you can reach out to D&H to get a quote created. Alternatively, you can actually take this quote number, not the deal ID, but the quote number, and proceed to our partner enablement portal and get the quote yourself as well. For you to be able to do that, though, you need to have a deal in approved status, which this deal is not approved, so it's not going to show up in our partner enablement portal yet. Once the deal has been created and everything is done, you can click on the share button here and share it with anyone else that you need to get more support or whatever you need. And then off you go. So this is your quick demo of CCW.
So thank you for sitting through that video. I know I can't listen to myself for 14 minutes, so that was rough for me,
I had the
but
same
thank you
problem.
for so there are a few questions that came up here, and I'll address them. But the first one that was asked by Peter, how to know that Cisco has refurbished stock. So I want to actually draw your attention to Cisco One Click tool. This is actually a portal where you can go in and not just pull up the current list of available SKUs, but you can create a watch list. I use this tool all the time. So I have a customer that likes to buy a specific C1000 series router with 4G LTE modem built in, and he loves taking advantage of refurb stock. He doesn't want to pay the price for the full price for the non-refurb one. So what we have done is we have created a watch list. It actually sends out a notification the moment that stock becomes available, and he just pings me right after that, and we process the order for him. Keep in mind, refurb is only available to purchase when it's there. If it's not, we can't place an order. So it's really important to create a watch list and maintain it. There is a way to check if something is available in refurb in CCW as well. I'm going to be honest, I had recorded a much longer video and I chopped it down to that piece. So it seems like the refurb piece got chopped out of that. But if you want, email us at ciscoteamc@dnh.com and we can do a demo on how to find it in CCW. But quite honestly, I use OneClick all the time. The reason I use OneClick is actually I can download an entire Excel spreadsheet that shows the current available stock for refurb. And let's say if the model that I want isn't available, I can actually look at other similar models and see if there are any refurb stock available for those and modify my deal accordingly. A couple of other links that are on here that I want to point out before I go into the Q&A here. So the link for CCW is up there, as well as I mentioned the partner enablement portal. If you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage checking it out. You can access it through dnh.ca as well, but this is the direct link. It all sits behind the Cisco's CCO ID, so you would use the same credentials to log in as you would on CCW, and it allows you to track your orders, generate quotes for pre-approved deals, so on and so forth. And then lastly, the email address. So I'm going to leave this up here while I answer some questions here. So the next question is, as a registered partner, is there some way I can still get price protected quote from for a Cisco build? Yes. So at the beginning of the video, I kind of mentioned about quick quote. So you can, instead of clicking create deal, you would click create quote. And what it does is it locks in that price at current fast track pricing for 30 days. And that's net price protected once again. So you might be aware, you might not be aware. Cisco is coming out with a price increase at the beginning of August, at least for Canada. So if, let's say, you go in and do a quick quote today, you'll be price protected beyond that price increase at the beginning of August. So let's say you create a quick quote today, you have until 20th of August to transact at the current price. You don't have to take the hit on the pricing just because Cisco decided to uplift their list price. We all know Cisco deals don't happen in a matter of hours. It's usually days or weeks. So lock in that price. Next question is, can I use an OIP to win an RFQ? At the face value, the answer is no, but it's about timing. So if you get your OIP created before the RFQ goes out, yes. Once there's an RFP or a bid that's been put out, Cisco will not offer OIP. But in most cases, at least in Canada, the experience that I've had is, let's just take a government entity for an example. Let's say Liquor Control Board of Ontario is thinking about doing their overhaul. As they're thinking of doing overhaul of their wireless, they're going to engage a partner and say, hey, can you help us design this? Can you help us recommend things that should go into it? We're thinking of putting out a bid, but we need to understand what to put on the bid before we put it out. Well, whomever they reach out to hopefully goes in and creates a deal and gets an OIP on that before the bid goes out. In that situation, yes, they can get OIP because they were price protected before the bid went out. But once the bid is out, once it's a public RFQ, Cisco will not do any preferential pricing there. So it's either at the beginning or everyone gets the same playing field. Hopefully that answers the question. And then another question is, how do I get to the select level? And I realized that in the first slide, I didn't really touch on it, and I didn't because there's a lot to unpack there. But the easiest way to do it, there are two very easy paths to do it. One is SMB specialization. So this is my preferred path. It's basically all you need to do is have two people in your organization go take online unproctored tests. One person will take a test for account manager, which is the sales position, and the other one will take a test for the sales engineer or the technical side of things. And once they pass that, you have SMB specialization, and now you can apply to be a Select Certified Partner. The other route is for service providers. So if you are a managed service provider, you have a managed service practice, you can actually become a Select Certified Partner without taking any tests. All you have to do is go to Cisco's website, submit some documentation that proves that you have a practice of managed services, and they will allow you to become Select Certified immediately. No testing required, and it's good for 1 year. Basically, you have to renew it once a year. Just say, yep, we're still a managed service provider, and you're good for another year. Versus the SMB specialization, you'll have to retest every 2 years. So you'll have to basically go in and take the same exam, hopefully similar exam, I should say, every 2 years. So those are the two paths with least resistance. There are other ways to specialize and become Select Certified, but those are a little bit more involved and usually not as quick and easy. So answer is those two paths. I actually wanted to understand a little bit more about the folks that I have in this webinar today. So I have another question here. So I just sent out this poll here. Aside from Meraki or Cisco, what other networking vendors do you offer? These are as Aaron mentioned earlier, I manage a few vendors, and these are the top names that come to my mind from my portfolio that we carry. But I wanted to understand what kind of mix the audience here is used to dealing with when it comes to networking vendors. So let us know. At this point, I'm just waiting for additional questions to come in. And as that's happening, I have a couple more polling questions out here that I'll throw up for you guys to answer. And if you can provide us some analytics, great. If not, you have our email address for the Cisco Team CA inbox. Please don't hesitate in reaching out. We love hearing from our partners. We're happy to help. At D&H Canada, there are currently 3 sales specialists and a sales engineer. Our sales engineer, Bertil, is fluent in French. I'm not, but he is. So if you need someone that can speak French and help you present to your customer, we're happy to do that. And beyond that, Aaron and his team, when we need additional support, has been kind enough to step in and help out. So keep in mind, even though we have 4 people in Canada, we are backed by a much larger team on the US side with their expertise and their support as well. So this is kind of interesting. 100% Cisco is more expensive. I wanted to understand pricing wise how Cisco is, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just didn't expect it to be 100%. And I have 2 more questions to put up here. Want to understand where D&H is in pricing when you're comparing us to others. Where do we stand? Are we on par with the market? Are we under, over? Would love to get your thoughts on that.
This feedback certainly helps us improve what we're doing too. It's nice to know what's happening in the
100%.
reseller world, and this is the sort of feedback where we can make changes and make your life easier as a reseller.
100%. And the last one, I'm going to leave this one up for a few seconds, and then I'll go back to the last slide with the links and email address. But want to understand how we are in our SLA. I know I want to shoot for 2 to 4 hour SLA, but I want to understand what you are seeing, how you're perceiving our service, and obviously, if we are not on par, we want to do our best to change that. Yeah, I appreciate you guys joining us today. I'm going to go back to this last slide with our email address. If there's something that we can provide better support on, if there's something we can help you close in terms of business, please reach out. We're happy to help out. My team and I are 100% dedicated to supporting the Canadian partner community. So thank you for your time today, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.